The first criterion says that citizens must be politically equal. 2, citizens must act on their preferences for policy. That is, they must participate in decision making. Number 3, information must be fully and freely available. 4, there must be a close correspondence between the policy decisions of representatives and the preferences of their constituents. That is, representatives must act as instructed delegates of their constituents. And finally, number 5, when choosing from among policy alternatives, the alternative preferred by the majority must be selected. That is, majority rule is always the governing principle in traditional democratic theory. Actually, the traditional theory of democracy can be dismissed as a plausible description of the American system on the basis of each of these criteria. With respect to the first criterion, it is clear that all Americans do not have the same amount of political influence, assuming we are prepared to go beyond some very superficial indicators such as universal suffrage rights and the principle of one person, one vote. And even if we did want to use these as indicators, we would have to concede that the achievements of universal voting rights and one person, one vote have occurred relatively recently. But as I said, voting rights are only superficial indicators of political equality. Do all Americans have equal influence on government decision makers? Can you walk into a representative or senator's office to air your concerns about a public policy issue and reasonably expect that it will be a determining factor in how the representative or senator votes on the floor of the House or the Senate? Can you think of anyone who can have a visit with a representative or senator and have that sort of influence? If you're thinking of some names of such people, now ask yourself what characteristics they have that translates into influence of this sort. Finally, ask yourself whether these characteristics are evenly distributed among each of the 300 million Americans. If the answer is no, and if these characteristics translate into political influence, then clearly all Americans cannot be politically equal.